trash can can give it back to me. Hello. Getting the heat press warmed up. Getting notions. Okay, so we're going to start. I took the Swoon wallet and I wanted to do, it's going to sound echoey. Give me 1 second. I took the Pro wallet and I'm going to be doing 4 different parts. So part 1 is all about cutting and interfacing and going over the wallet itself, because it can determine what fabrics you want to use for it. So definitely have your instructions, and it looks like the fabric of choice was this really awesome glitter, like it's faux glitter because it's cotton fabric for the lining, and part of Tim Holtz's Abandoned collection. I love this collection. So let me put these other fabrics to the side. Okay. All right. So I cut out my pattern pieces, and there's quite a few. And there's some additional cuts that are in the same on the first page. You're going to be seeing me cut with the template and also with the pattern pieces, because the pattern pieces have important like fold lines and very important like magnet, where your magnetic snaps are, marking areas that it's really important to have. Let's see. All right. So the pearl. With the pearl, you're going to have the wristlet with a 1/2 inch. The hardware is a 1/2 inch with a tab. It opens up, and you have 2 credit card slots, or cash slots, or just, you know, notes. And you have your zipper pocket that's also purple. But the wallet comes apart with the magnetic snap in the inside. So it becomes 2 different compartments. Like, you can take this and kind of on the go. So when I made this wallet, the part that I actually had to take out was I didn't follow the magnetic placings. There's a 2 inch and a 3 inch down. I found that someone else mentioned it, that with the 2 inch mark, it was like a snug fit. So my suggestion, I'm going to go for this one, go 1.5 or 1.75 instead of the full 2 inches up. So that way, if I stuff my credit cards, because that's what I do. I take all my credit cards and my gift cards and I just jam them all in there. I'm not a dainty person with my wallet. That, as well as I'm going to show some tips on how to reduce the bulk in the credit card section. Because in the credit card section, it's one big piece and it's all embroidered. It's all interfaced with Pellon Shape Flex 101. And as you're folding these credit card slots, you're getting extra layers of bulk, and it's going to add on. So I have a technique that when we get to that part of interfacing, which I will go into about how you can interface just the top of a card slot and won't have all that bulk in the inside. Because if you were able to fill this, there's probably about 1/8 of an inch of just thickness from the credit card slots. And that's a lot, especially when you're trying to jam all those credit cards and gift cards in there. So I'm going to give some different techniques that I found that I've used before, and it works out. Yeah, I went to Fabric Candy Shopping. Is it Kimmy? I went to Fabric Candy Shopping, and I automatically got, he has Abandoned 2 coming out this spring. So I'm really excited about that because his fabric's amazing. Let me tie up my hair real quick. So with this being said, I don't have my nameplate on here, but there's a lot of different ways you could put it. If you have tags, I think it would be cute coming out from the side. If you have just tags. I have hardware, and I think it would be really cute on the tab. As well as I have like little name tags that I got off of Etsy. I like supporting small businesses that you could put on there, or, you know, get fancy with it and put it like in the inside. I have a wooden one. It would look good like this, riveted, but I'm not too sure. I probably would most likely put it on the outside of one of these, but there's a lot of, this pattern has like a lot of different, to me, options to make it that much more upscale. I did see someone ask me, would they make this in vinyl? Could you make it? Yes, I plan on 100% making one. But I highly suggest you to make this in cotton first to see where you can reduce the bulk at, and where I have like this annoying Superman curl. That's what my daughter said. Hi, Inga. You can figure out where you have the most bulk at, and where, to me, the most bulky areas is the card slots. So I think I have some tips that might be helpful. I wanted to show like really bright contrasting fabric so you could see where, kind of like where you would put the fabric. I picked, I got from Joann's. It's a Joann's name brand fabric. It just looks like wet paint, like someone splattered it, and I was like, this is amazing. And I went for Conan Cotton for the lining. So like when you look at piece number 3, it says cut on your tab 2 of lining. If you're like, I don't want my lining to show, I want my exterior, then that's when you can switch it up. That's why I wanted to show you the wallet before we started cutting, so you can make some decisions. This will look amazing all solid color, and having the stitches be the accent piece, the contrasting. I feel like this in all black with like rose gold thread would be spectacular, or rainbow thread. You can do different variations. Like I could have took a different shade of purple and have it for the band pieces. So really look at the pattern pieces to figure out what would suit your needs. So we're going to go with this glitter fabric and the Holtz. We have our pattern pieces. We have our bag to the pearl clutch right here to reference. And we're going to start cutting. So what I'm going to do, this is, like I said, going to be broken down. Cutting this week. Next week we're going to do, I'll give the page numbers ahead of time. What we're going to do live, it's going to mostly follow exactly the way this is doing, but we're going to break it down into smaller sections, so that way if anyone has questions, they can ask me, and I'll be here to help. Good evening. Because I felt like next week when we do the credit card slots, it's very important, because like I said in the live earlier today, I was intimidated by this because of the measurements. Most wallets have like a very specific formula, and seeing something saying measure 6 by 7.5 inches, and you're just like, you kind of seize up. So, or when I made this, I was amazed at how fast this came together and how much I loved this wallet. Show a short video of pictures of all the pattern pieces when they're ready to sew. Yeah, what I can do is when I have all the pattern pieces out tonight, when this live ends, I can do a quick video just showing all the pattern pieces and to what number they correlate with. Definitely I can do that. So let's start with the stabilizers. Shape Flex 101. I don't have Pellon P44, and to be honest with you, I had to look it up because I was like, have I ever had this? So what I'm going to use is Bouncy from Tammy, if you're around. It's from Cereal Bag Maker, Bouncy. I don't know, I just like this stuff. It has really good glue, and it gives the bag, like, this is all that's in there, and it's nice structure. I let my kids play with this. I like to do bag tests to see how something holds up to a kid. And my dog played tug of war with my daughter with it, so it held up. Hi, Kathy. Cereal Bag Maker, yes, thank you. I think it's called Bouncy Firm, and I got this from Anne. Very nice person, very fast delivery, and I think I'm addicted to this. I put this in a lot of stuff now because I don't know there's nothing comparable. I'm a person that doesn't believe Decaville can be compromised. I don't think foam could be compared to something else. That each interface is exactly that. Our stabilizer, it's their own thing. Can you use something to substitute it? Yes, but it's exactly that. It's like a teacher. You have your teacher every single day, and then you get a substitute. The substitute could be phenomenal, but at the end of the day, it's still not the teacher. So I like experimenting though, because I like the feel of different fabric. Bouncy Firm, thank you. I'm really bad with names. I nickname a lot of stuff. So I like this Bouncy Firm a lot. It's not very thick. It's pliable. It's in between foam and Decaville in like thickness, where like it would be the in between, and I don't know, the glue's really good. I have my heating press on, which you probably hear humming. I have it at 325 for 10 seconds. I have my Teflon sheets. I even have a pressing mat in case I really want to. I really don't use the pressing mat. Only when I'm ironing. You'll see me doing that a lot. I use where we're pressing out the pockets, not the pockets, they're technically the card slots. When we press out the card slots, you'll see me use a mini press, and I use a pressing cloth, because if you ever got like a shiny spot on your fabric, you put too much heat on it, and that's why that's that weird shiny spot that you're like, why did that come? Some pressing cloths help tremendously when you're using cotton. So let's start. So with the prepping, make sure you cut, you print this to actual size. There is a 3-inch square block. I believe it's on the second to the last page. And we can start off with cutting the card slot and panel and lining. Okay, so we're going to cut the lining, and I'm going to do the method that I suggested to help reduce the bulk without actually doing the card slots right now. Let's see. handy dandy trash can. Someone mentioned, I don't know who mentioned it, someone mentioned in someone else's live about a trash can that you can have that, like, it's a, use it for when you're cutting vegetables, and you can slide the excess right into it, like it hangs from your cabinet. I have one of these things on the side of my cutting mat, and it's made, like, my floor is like always clean because I could just slide all the trash and waste over there. Oh, thank you. I will give you the name. There's a person that makes this. Her name is Michelle, and her weights are amazing. I know her name is Michelle and she lives in Hawaii. So this fabric is called the Starlight Metallic by Maywood. It is like, I have this metallic color in every, like, blue, silver, black. It is my favorite lining right now. We are going to do 32.5 without me dropping pattern pieces. 32.5, and oh, I have two zipper colors because I usually like to match the zipper to the lining. So I didn't have anything really close, so I think I might go to this one or the dark one. I still haven't decided on that. So what I normally do is move the bar stool. I have a lot of rulers, but the ruler that I use the most is my 6-inch one, because I notice like a lot of straps or a lot of things call for something being 6 inches wide. I got the lining from Connecting Threads. If you're looking for something that has Aurifil colors, threads wise too, that it's cotton, they have match for match for cotton weight, 40 weight thread for like Aurifil, but it's like $2.99. And they also have a polyester version. They are my whenever they have a sale, I like buy all, like, amazing colorways, amazing, just, I love their fabric. And they have really cool quilt kits. They have this 3-dimensional one that I want to try so bad, but I just haven't had the time to. Alright, so the first cut is going to be 6 by 32. Move the bar spool even more if you're fluffy like I am. I need to get the ones with the grip because I can't tell you how many times I have messed up on a cut because of it. $32.5. Sorry, I have two mats because I wanted to put the purple one in case my fabric color was like too contrast, like the contrast was like too much and you couldn't see the cuts. Okay. So if you're wanting to try exactly how the pattern lays out, you would get a piece of SOF, Shape Flex, Woven Fuse, Woven Fix, whatever your woven interfacing choice is, and you would interface this. Because I know there's a lot of bulk in it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to page, and you're going to find it funny because actually what I'm going to do is very similar to what they do on page 2. Page 3, there's measurements, and the actual card slots start off the first 6.75, and as you can see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 card slots. So what I'm going to do is you can take whatever interfacing you like desire. I'm going to be using Buckram. I got it off of Amazon, and it has like a card feel, like a crisp feel to it. And I'm going to make them 5-inch strips by a 1/2 inch. So if you go on page 2, on page 2, number piece, card slot bifold 11, and the main card slot 12, they use a small strip of stabilizer. So that way it's not going to be bulky. It's the same premise as that. I'm going to fold the cards upon itself, but use the only, like, I could do a 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch, or 1 inch by 5 inches, so I'm not cutting into that. I'm not into the seam allowance, but that cards will be crisper than the shape flex. Because this is not crisp right now. It's taut because it's sewn that way. But to have that, like, to have that credit card feel where it's not like folded in on each other, I'm going to use the Buckram, but only using in small, where exactly the lines are that I know I'm going to fold and press these card slots at. Is that? Oh yes, yes. Sign up for the newsletter, and they'll send you magazines. So I'm going to cut this at 5 inches. I know there's 4 card slots. I might, I'm gonna cut it at 6 inches because you'll see when we make the actual cards, you wind up this card slot winds up becoming 2, and I don't want it to be uneven on both sides. So let's see. I'm gonna make them a 1/2 inch wide. And I'm going to save the rest of this buckram so when we interface that part, those card slots on the bifolds on the other side, I'm just going to use the same material so, I don't waste. Alright, so tops and bobbins, I got the template because I felt like once I make wallets are always in demand. And once I make a wallet, I just like to hurry up and cut things out with them. So the first, they're pretty genius because it's the same exact template as your last page, but with having the ruler exactly at the 4.25, you can do all your markings, and it's like having a ruler that's see-through. That I'm addicted to rulers. So I'm going to go to page 3, and I'm going to mark all the lines, and then I'm going to interface those sections so that way this will be, I'll show you the fold and you'll see what I'm talking about. Once they all stack up on top of each other, it just reduces the bulk. So the first marking is at 4.25. am going to use a friction pen. The air erasable ones also come in markers, so they're my new thing that I like. I like bright colors. Then the next one, from that line, you're going to mark out 6.75. And then you're going to do that again. I like what I really appreciate that Alicia did is that if you have a hard time with like 6.75 or whatever, she has the marks where it says from the top it'll be 11 inches in. From the next one, it will be 17.75 inches in. So you could just make little marks going, you know, so forth. Because sometimes I'm not gonna fib you that like numbers, measurements totally freak me out. And then the last one, you're going to go in 2 inches from the bottom and mark it out. Now you could do this with a pencil, anything that won't bleed or transfer once heat gets to it, so the marks can stay permanently there. So when you do the card slot, the first 4.75 gets folded under. That's going to be your first part of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the fusible part and put it down right underneath that line. So when I take it to the heat press, I'm only going to fold under, I'm only interfacing right underneath that line. And I just feel like this may help with reduced bulk drastically because like I said, it's really taut between these two layers, but where I feel like it's not, doesn't feel like a card to me. Credit card slot is how, like smushy. It's not slouchy. I mean, because it is pretty taut, but like I feel like it could have more sturdiness. So I'm gonna bring this over to my heat press. Get my Teflon sheet out of the way, one of them, and my Teflon sheets are well loved. And I have a heat press that's 16 by, I think it's 16 by 20. I think, yeah, it's pretty big. I'm putting it on this 325 for 10 seconds. And you wait patiently, or try to wait patiently. I like to try to see if I can catch it right before it hits 1. I do the same thing with the microwave. And then I'm going to put this last strip. And I had to find my portable little steamer because I was trying to figure out how I could, there's a lot of pressing that goes on with this. So make sure you're in an area that when we start sewing, that you can press really well. One second. Okay. So it's all like this. So when you fold the cards, the slot over, this is going to be like extra crisp. So I feel like you won't have as much, because you're going to start, when you start folding these on each other, the bulk adds up supremely quick. I'm just going to do a rough fold so you can see. So the bulk adds up really, really quick. So you were going to go through all these layers. So I just thought if just having it in that area would help like a lot with the reduction of having the bulk, and it will help tremendously with inserting your credit cards and, you know, closing it shut without it like bulging at the seams. So that's one down. And I highlight when I finish stuff because I will forget. So we did the card slot, and then the stabilizer for the bifolds are 1/2 inch by 7. This is 6. I don't want to skimp on that, so I'm gonna do the stabilizer. I have a tendency of cutting the additional cuts first, because if I don't, out of sight, out of mind kind of scenario, if I don't see it and I cut everything else, I'm like, yeah, I'm done, but I'm not. So 7 by 1/2 inch. Buckram people use for hats and different cosplay things, like for structure, and it doesn't gum up my needles, and it's harder to find it fusible. I usually have to find it when I'm like making corsets. For some reason they have like tons of this stuff because there's hat makers there, but I found it to be something that I like in my bags. So your zipper tabs, let's see. Let's start cutting into the beautiful fabrics. All right. So the wristless strap is 3 by 16. I'm going to cut off the selvage first. So when I interface, and I know I'm using like a lot of shape flex, I have a tendency to block interface to save time, because I rather, normally, if I want to save interfacing and not so much fabric, I will cut out everything via interfacing first, and then block fuse it to my fabric. But because I only have a half yard of this, I'm going to do block fusing with the Shape Flex 101. So we have that. We have that piece for the wristlet. The zipper tabs are not interfaced, and they're 1.5 by 1.5. I'm just going to take that excess amount from that strap tab. I actually thought the tabs were brilliant, and I'm going to use it in other methods. And put it on my non-interfacing section. Because I was like, what do you mean that we don't interface? So we have our two strap tabs, our zipper tabs, and we have the stabilizer cuts. All right, we did the card slot, so we start cutting. I'm going to make the zipper, not the zipper tab, I'm sorry, the snap tab, the main exterior. Although I love how pretty this purple is, I really wish it was this color. So I'm going to do that. And you can have fun with this, because like if you have a fabric like this that has like different colors, you can like fussy cut around to see what section that you would like the most. So I really like this fabric. You guys picked a very good choice. I'm going to just fold it in half. And again, the great thing about having the tops and bottoms is like you can fussy cut it. But I've seen someone make this with, they transferred it all on cutting mats, and the cutting mats were like kind of see-through, and I was like, that's brilliant too. So we have those two pieces. Stabilizer. I like how this piece comes out, but I actually prefer it on this. On pieces 5 and 6, really pay attention, because 5 is cut on the dotted fold. I like to also trace out all my patterns sometimes, and like do in the back on the back, and cut them all out. Thank you. I love the fabric too. It's an absolutely gorgeous design. Let's see. There's not a lot for exterior. Let's see. So we're going to cut one of this. I like to do all the exteriors, then I go through the lining, and then I stabilize everything. So with this pattern piece, you can really try to, I highly suggest on the back after you interface it that you write like a top and bottom, so that way you're aware if it's, especially if it's directional, because the fabric that I picked was non-directional. The male rivet is on top and the female rivet's on the bottom. So this part right here, the male, goes into the fold, and this will fold this way. So what you have to look is that the female part is the area that's exposed. So 7 will be going downward. So if you have directional, you know which way to put your fabric so that it's not like all the daisies are going backwards, or so on and so forth. That's why I wanted to, so whoever mentioned to make this, you're brilliant, because we would have been lost completely together. I wouldn't mind that, but if we have like pretty fabric and we want to save every little piece, then, you know, by all means. So on piece 7, you cut 1 of the exterior, 1 of the lining, and 2 of woven interfacing. So this will be cut on shape with a shape flex. I don't know where my little rotary is. It goes around curves so much better. Well, that was a giant mess up. Okay, so I might have to use it for another piece because I just cut off a big piece. This is why I usually trace and cut by scissors. Because I am a klutz. Like a giant klutz. And the scissors are right in front of me. That's hilarious. I get the... Okay. So this will be the main one. We'll put that aside for the lining. Backing of the cardstock, 1 of exterior. I could possibly take this, yeah, I can take this piece that I messed up with and use it. For the main card slot, you're going to need 1 of exterior and 1 of interfacing. Woven interfacing, and then we're going to put that, there's like a little stabilizer, like placement panel. And what you can do is have your little number 2 pencil and be write, you know, 12, 6, so you know what each pieces are. I do that all the time. I just like mark, so that way I know, because there's a lot of pieces in this pattern, so if you just, it makes life easier. Or Post-its. And so this is part 11, backing of 11, one of exterior, one of woven. And then you can just mark with a pencil, pen, whatever won't transfer, bleed out. You can just write down each piece, so that way you can keep track of everything. That stabilizer. Alright, so for piece number 1, you need 2 of the main and 2 of the lining and 4 of woven interfacing. So I'm going to fold this in half. And again, I'm going to use Shape Flex that I got on. I actually didn't get. My husband got for me during Black Friday at Joann's. Like, it was on sale for, and he was like, "Look what I got." And I was like, "Oh, okay." Thank you. I wasn't expecting it, so it was nice. So this is number 1. And then what I usually do is that I go back with it and just like write the numbers again once I interface everything. So that's it for the exterior. We are going to work on the lining. I have to put this on a fat quarter board now. Let's see. So I didn't cut the lining out of the tab because I wanted it to remain with it. So now we work on this. I cut the main out of the slot, the part thing, the main out of the card slot trim. Number 11 is for exterior. Number 12 is for exterior. We need one of number 7 for the lining. Put the lining right over here by the card slots. I seen someone has like this placemat and it like rotates, and I'm like, I kind of want it, but it's not a need. But I see how it could be super cool and useful when you're lining up stuff. So we have one of those, and it's 7 for that. Let's see. I know it's oh yeah, number 1. And I was like, I know there's one more. And it's for the main pouch. I haven't tried this with waterproof canvas. I know that was somebody was going to probably ask that. I haven't tried it. I know you probably could. You are going to need a fair amount of heat, and it probably will be awesome because you don't need to have a shape flex. The issue is the thickness. How much bulk our cart layer is going to be on top of each other. I don't know. I could definitely try it out to see. I have no problem doing that because anything that helps save on cost, because realistically waterproof canvas is like anywhere from $6 to $8 a yard, and the yard is more than a yard of fabric, and you don't have to interface it. But the problem with it's plastic, so sometimes it can hold up to heat. I've seen people heat up. I have myself, when I'm turning it back, hit the bag with a little bit of steam, but it's not advisable because it can, you know, burn onto your iron or your heat press or whatever. And because it retains heat, it may say like hot to touch and you can get a burn or something, and I wouldn't want that at all. I burn myself like accidentally with irons all the time, so. But I think it might be. I don't want to say a hard yes. I've only made a few so far. I think it could be, but I just feel like the bulkiness is a no. I should have found my like smaller, just like rotary. I don't know why I didn't look for it. I'm gonna fold this in just a minute. That is a wonky cut. Yeah. For these sharp corners, you can either trace out your pattern, cut them with scissors, or if you're better at rotary than I am, because I'm subpar at best, then go for it and you'll be fine. Or a smaller one. I can't find it. It's like 28 millimeters. It's somewhere around here. Yeah. Oh, there are pearl templates. You can get them at Tops and Bobbins. You just have to show them proof of you owning the pattern. And the great thing is, if you buy one, I'll buy a template. If you show them proof, what they do is they automatically enter you into a drawing for a percentage off of your next template. And it's a small business, and I love supporting small businesses. Like, they're the bread and butter. So now we do stabilizers. I'm going to block fuse the woven fuse. But I'm cutting out all the bouncy firm. So the stabilizers for the bifold, you cut 2 of these on it. So I'm going to cut 2 of that. I really appreciate Alicia having all the stabilizer pieces separately, because measurements are not my friend sometimes. And it's like that. I just appreciate people that do that. So I'm gonna put this over here, and I'm going to get the stabilizers. For this one, I use Bouncy Firm, and it's really like thick, but because it's not the whole thing, like it leaves ½ an inch all the way around. you can get away with it. And I'm going to show you how we're going to hit it with like so much steam and turn it real fast that if you wanted to use like a Peltex or a Decaville, you can do it without it being like, oh, I cannot turn this little tab. Steam is your best friend when you have like a heavier fusible one, and pressing. So what I was discussing with the team, and I see Tammy on here, so I think I have team. Oh, yeah, I love the metallic is from Connecting Thread. It's absolutely gorgeous. And I think they have a new line, and I'm like, I'm gonna have to get you. I want, because I would love to make this wallet for someone as sewing along with me. So everyone that watches, everyone that enters one of their pearls, the pearl that I'm making tonight, a person will be able to get, and the shipping will be covered and everything. You know, might be some extra little goodies because I like to give stuff. So it's open worldwide. That was the only clause that I had. Is I hate when there's a giveaway and it's only to like one part of the world, and I'm like, man, I really wanted to try. I mean, that's just me. I think it'll be really cool too. I'm going to be using rose gold hardware, summoning my inner Monica, because Monica is really good with rose gold. And I think with this metallic pink, it's going to be like really pop off. See, it's not that thick, but there is a firmness. But I'm going to show you a trick when we get to that step, how at the end maybe we could slide in a Decaville Heavy or Peltex to give it an even more crisp thing. But I'm telling you, the wallet is pretty stable. I didn't think it was, because I'm a person that likes structure. And I think it could be done with a cork, but I'm going to have to actually ask Sherry from Cork, because she's the go-to person for cork. So I don't want to lead you down the wrong path. I will message her tomorrow and ask her if has she done a pearl in cork, and I'm pretty sure she has. And if she has any suggestions, and then when we meet up again next Friday, I will report back my findings. Because it probably be similar, like watch out for your directions, because that's I like a lot of like Camelot prints, and Camelot doesn't do a lot of toss. It's like all directional, and I was like, how is this going to work out for me? This was like the first wallet that I made that didn't have, like, I couldn't use a directional print. And then after I made it, I made one or two. I was like, oh yeah, you could do it. You just have to really pay attention to which way you want the fabric to go. Kind of want this in a polka dot wallet though. All right, so yeah. I put away the stabilizer, and I need to get 2 pieces for the snap tab. Hold on one second, let's see. Let's see. I'm going to cut off a small piece. So yeah, most important part, the strap tab. All right. So all right. Now we start interfacing. I'm going to place the interfacing that has the like stabilizer 2 goes on piece 1 of the exterior. This is why I like to write things down. One of the exterior. So I'm going to place one in the middle, the glue right side, Sonova. And then when I block fuse the woven, it'll like all be tight, like nice and tight, taut in there. And stabilizer, not 2, 8 goes on this. And the reason why I say write your ups and downs so that you're not confusing it, putting it the wrong way. All right. To adhere these, I'm going to take them over to the heat press first and put those, and then put the woven fuse over it. I'm sorry, the shape flex. I'm just going to call it woven interfacing. It's just easier. You can use a non-woven interfacing with this as well. So I'm just taking all of like my pieces and just placing them nice and pretty on my heat press that's like humming. Clean my Teflon sheet, and 10 seconds at 325. And your cookies will be done. There's always one piece that never wants to fuse right for me. And that is operator error, because I did not put the glue side all the way down. It happens. I was actually contemplating using like the cheap stuff. I literally call it the cheap stuff that I get at Walmart. Don't know what the name of the stuff is. I just know it's not woven, but it's like my to-go-to for wallets, because the glue is really sticky. You can definitely do that. Okay. So I had a heat press because of making like little things with HTV decals on bags and stuff like that. It was given to me as a gift, and I'm supremely grateful for it. And does it save time? Yes, but it's energy wise, you save more money and save more like your carbon footsteps by using your iron. You get a more heat evenly press with the heat press, yes. But if you're actually pressing and doing like 10 seconds each section, you'll be fine with your iron. I'm going to be using a small little red iron throughout the sew along. I got my Teflon sheets on Amazon. They have everything. And I was told by somebody who makes t-shirts that you can use like parchment paper sometimes. I haven't tried it, but for like stickier jobs, I thought about like that might be pretty cool. So I'm gonna put these two aside because I just have like, you're only supposed to have one of woven. This is only where I'm going to tell you to deviate because we're going to follow this pattern through and through. You need something a little bit more in here if you're going to have a magnetic snap than woven, or it's just going to, depending on the magnets, it can start ripping even if you put fray check or whatever. I would highly suggest you to put something non-woven in there or at least have a cutout of Peltex the same as a magnet that you can put on the back so that it's like stable and secured and anchored. So, all right. So this is just Shape Flex 101. I have quite some. What I usually do when I block fuse is I put this kind of, I kind of roll this down and I put this on a chair and I like kind of put this laying glue side up onto the press. I should have angled the camera better, but I was trying to get like where you could see how I was cutting, and I just lay down the pieces that are supposed to be stabilized by woven, press, and then move the blanket further up or the stabilizer further up, and then keep doing that, and then I bring it all here and I just start hand cutting. It's a little bit of a process. I know, but I feel like cutting out, you could cut out each piece and adhere it. It's all about like your personal preference and like what you like to do. I block fuse with my iron as well. I either block fuse with the fabric or the interfacing. It like depends on what it is. If it's like woven fix that from Serial Bag Maker, I block fuse with my fabric because woven fix is like a really high-end product and I don't want to run out of it. And I just kind of, I want not say play Tetris, but that's what it feels like. It feels like I'm playing Tetris with the pattern pieces to see how much I can get it to. You'll see as soon as I'm done pressing the first set. You'll be like, oh, that makes sense. The only thing that you're not going to adhere to the woven, your woven interfacing are the zipper tabs. And I know that goes against the grain, but there's actually a pretty solid reason. Because the tabs need to kind of like poke out, and if it has an interfacing, it just would be too much. Okay. And then we cut everything out and number it. I also put like measurements. The reason why I think I try to go for before one is I feel like my machine screams at me. So, all right, so here it is. It's all, see how I play Tetris? I know if people are like, oh, you wasted this little bit, but for me, this becomes super easy. Now I just have to cut around it and I'm good. I'm not going to use my rotary. I'm just going to grab a pair of scissors and go at it. And I just, as I cut out each piece, like I'll write out like, you know, part 7 lining. I mean, but obviously there's not a whole lot of lining pieces in this, so it's pretty much the tab, the card slots. It looked, once I cut out all the pieces, I realized it wasn't as many pieces as I thought. I was like, why did I think this had so many more pieces than what it really doesn't have a lot of pieces. Yeah, so I'm not, like as a kid, whenever I would microwave something, or even before the oven went off, I would have to like shut it off before it hits 1. Yeah, I love fuse. I don't know. When I make t-shirt quilts, you do the same thing, like you fuse block it. So, and I got my strap in here. And when we get to that part of making the wallet too, I'm going to give you a couple different ways you can do this strap. It's all interfaced the same, just techniques. So if you want no raw edges exposed, or if you want everything tucked in, we'll do it. Yeah, it just saves time. So you just play like Tetris. I do this with like my regular iron too. I'll like put one piece and then like another piece and then everywhere on my board, and I'll fuse it just to save a little time. And you're like, well, no, you're cutting it with scissors. You can definitely do this with a pair of rotary thing. It just, one, I find cutting relaxing. 2, if I make a mistake I won't make a mistake like cutting around the curves at this point where I'll be like upset, like I messed up on another piece of fabric and interfacing. For me, I have more control over scissors than I do rotary. I'm trying to get better at it. Work in progress. Yeah, well actually I do the opposite of like when I make bags and I use Decaville or foam, I cut my stabilizers and then fuse them to the fabric. It definitely. Oh, okay, so next Friday, right over here where you see that, there is a huge scrap bin. My scrap bin is massive, and I am a freaking fuse person. And this is one of the reasons also why, like for lining pieces, I don't use woven, usually fusible woven, because I feel guilty when I use the woven fusion versus the stuff that I can get for like a few bucks a yard, and it's pretty big. I do not know what the name of that stuff is. Everyone always asks me because it looks like a vinyl roll, and I've had that roll, I want to say 2 years, and it's like never ending. And I usually use it for my linings. If you've seen my interfacing thing, you'll know that I like to be unconventional. Like, I use Craft Text. You just see me use Buckram. I don't use, I like to experiment to see what I like. And I always encourage everybody to experiment and see what you like, because something might be inexpensive to one person, it might be a treasure to you. anytime I go to Walmart, I check that fabric area, the stabilizers and interfacing section, to see if they have, you know, that. It's very flimsy. I'll see if I can grab it. But it fuses beautifully and gives me the structure like having a shape flex. And it's inexpensive and it adheres and it passed the kid and dog test. So if it could pass that, I mean, I'm just saying. I call this stuff, yeah, literally, like, any video you watch me and I'm using that, I call it the stuff that I get from Walmart because I don't know anywhere else who sells it. I could see someone using Declaville Light. I could see, if you're going to use Peltex, you can do the few, like, have it, like I had, like, sandwich it in between the shape flex. But I think I might be able to show you how to slide it in before we top stitch, so that way it's not in your seam allowance and it doesn't wrinkle. I'm using Bouncy Firm from Zero Bag Maker. It doesn't wrinkle. There's a lot of glue on it. It's like, and then I don't know if you hear it, like, I just like the way it, like, it just, there's something about this. If she stops making it, I probably will cry. It's one of my favorites. And I don't really have, like, I like Buckram because it's thin. And if you could find it with glue, then it gives that card feel. It's kind of like Craftex. Like, Craftex gives, like, a nice stable fabric without having the thickness of Declaville or foam. Yeah, stuff we got from Walmart. I'm telling you. And look at places like dry cleaning supply. They have amazing interfacing. There at Waywack, there's this black one. It's the fabric. The stabilizer is black, but like I like to machine base. Like, I would go and use this and machine base each piece because sometimes I like the glue and sometimes I don't. I'm not opposed to machine basting. I know what machine basting I'm gonna have to system results, and I don't know. And it, like, for people that are worried about shape flex shrinking, definitely look at dry cleaners, because think about it, that's what they do. Dry cleaning supplies basically do, like, with their whole thing is for garments not to shrink, so their interfacings are pretty spot on. I know all of us have our favorites, but I just like, my favorite thing to do is to find something new that's affordable, that's attainable for people worldwide. So what I do when I have all pieces and I'm not going to sit down and sew it all is, Tammy had the honor to interview Annie from Annie Soft and Stable. She has a free pattern called the Peacekeeper. I use this pattern for, you know what, I forgot to interface. So let me see if I can interface those real quick. She has this thing called the Peacekeeper, and it's literally, it's for quilts or like people that hand quilt, or whatever, it's right behind me. I didn't do the rounded one. I usually give these to people for gifts. You round the edges, but I wanted to try a square one. I'm going to stick all the pieces into this with the pattern and everything, so that way I don't have to oh, I'm sorry. I have to fuse this one piece and drop scissors apparently. Let me fuse this one little piece. Well, two little pieces. So I will stick all my pattern pieces, everything inside. I keep everything in the folder and then put it inside this and then put it somewhere so that my pieces don't get missing, because I am notorious for losing stuff. So take my little zipper tabs, so we interfaced everything, we cut everything out. Next week we're going to cover a few pages, and one page is going to be definitely just for that we're going to take our time and get these slot pockets down to perfection, and then we're going to mark all of our pieces with the markings on the back of the pattern, so that way we can recognize the numbers of each pattern and where magnetic snaps go, the whole 9 yards. But I'm really excited because this pattern comes together beautifully. It's just a beautiful pattern. I was really intimidated by it. After I was finished, I was like, this is the best pattern, one of the best wallets ever. So I'm going to open this up, put my pattern pieces and my pattern inside this piece keeper. Got my zipper tabs. Keep everything, you know, kind of nothing wrinkly, so you don't have to, you're going to pre-press things, but, you know, not have like a permanent crease. Grab my card slots. I have my Rose Gold hardware. Put it in here. Stick it behind me. And then we're going to be ready for next Friday. You can, Catherine, you could do interfacing. I personally do if I like to cut out my interfacing first and then put it on the fabric. So that way I don't waste interfacing, because some interfacing is more expensive than others. So depending on what it is, if I have like Decoville or Decoville Light or anti-soft and stable. Oh yeah, remind me to put these on. I did not interface those. Decoville Light or whatever, I cut out my pattern, I trace out my pattern piece, cut it out, and then fuse it to whatever I'm going, whether it's vinyl or fabric, because chances are my vinyl is not going to be as expensive as, you know, the interface. If the interfacing is inexpensive, then I have a tendency of fusing, block fusing, after I fussy cut out the fabric. Yeah, I have a Teflon on the bottom and on the top. It would help if I put those in there too. Definitely a Teflon on the top and the bottom. And I had my press at 325 for 10 seconds. No worries. If you have questions after this live, just post them. Me, Tammy, Lizzie, Monica, Samantha, somebody in our awesome team will definitely answer your questions. And you don't have the pearl. Oh, you have to go for it. I mean, we have the coupon code for everybody that's a swooner to get the discount off of it. It's a good pattern to have. I feel like they'll be really good gifts to have, or just to have one with different outfits. It's really a nice grab and go. Good. I'm happy that you have it. So if you have questions or anything, please let me know. Oh, and one of the admin team put the link to the pearl above. And next week, we are going to get this pocket slots going and have some fun. And I can't wait to see all of your guys' creations. Like, I'm really excited about it. All right. Well, I hope you guys have a great weekend. Monica will be doing her sew along or cutting and fusing on Sunday and then sewing on Monday. So, have any questions? Feel free to ask, okay? You guys have a good night, okay? Bye.